Hi, I'm Neil Snyder. Thanks for joining me for another Snyder Talk video commentary. Today I want to introduce you to a book that I wrote. It's titled, What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life? It can be purchased as an ebook at Amazon. It's only available as an ebook. If you've never ordered anything from Amazon, just go to Amazon. Then inside Amazon, you go to the Kindle store. There's a drop-down box toward the left of your screen. There are two of them, actually. One of them allows you to choose the section of Amazon where you want to go, and then the other section, the specific thing you're looking for. So in the first drop-down box, you go to Kindle store, and in the one on the right, put in Neil Snyder, or What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life? Either one of those will do. If you go to Neil Snyder, it'll show you all of my ebooks on Amazon or the books in the Kindle store. And if you go to What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life, it'll take you specifically to that book. But if you don't have a Kindle device or an iPad, then you can install Kindle for My PC for free on your computer. And then you download What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life into your computer and read it as an ebook there. But you can buy it for use on Kindle, on iPad, Sony e-reader, and a number of other reading devices. So it's available to anyone who is computer literate and or someone who has an e-reader. The book has three basic premises. The first is that Yahweh created us for a specific purpose, and our goal in life should be to discover what that purpose is and then to do what Yahweh created us to do. The second premise is what we do with our life really matters. In fact, it matters a lot, and in the book I explain why. And third, what you do with your resources matters. Yahweh has given us resources, time, talent, energy, things that we can use to fulfill the mission He set for us. Now, I'm afraid many of us are not doing that, and some of us who are moving down in that direction aren't doing it the way we should be doing it. And that's what this book is about, helping you think through how to do what Yahweh created you to do. In Romans 8:14, Paul said, "For all who are being led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God." There's no question about this fact. Yahweh created us for a purpose, and if we are truly children of Yahweh, children of God, then we're going to be led by His Spirit to do the things that He created us to do. And if we say we're children of God and we're not trying to do the things that He created us to do, then we're only fooling ourselves. I was at Sukkot in Grand Prairie, Texas, just a few days ago. I was there for the entire period. And I taught a group of children, I say children, they were, say, age 14 to 20. I taught a group of young people from this book, and I was amazed at how many of them really got into the book. In fact, they had some very positive things to say about it. I'm thankful for that. But a lot of people who are watching this video are not 14 to 20 years old. Some of them are much older than that. Well, there's a tendency we have to think that we missed it. We missed out on the opportunity to do the things that God created us to do. That's not true. In fact, you don't need to look any further than the parable of the prodigal son to see that that's not true. It's found in Luke 15:11 through 32, and you'll recall the parable. The prodigal son asked his father for his inheritance so he could lead a life of debauchery, and he left home and he did that. He became so poor trying to live the life that he wanted to live that he ended up feeding pigs for a living. Eventually he realized that his father's hired hands were better off than he was, so he decided he'd go back home to his father. And when he did, he found that his father was anxiously awaiting his return. That's the way Yahweh is. He wants us to do the things He created us to do, and it's never too late. So don't think you have missed out on your opportunity. You have not. This book is aimed at helping you think about how to do the things Yahweh created you to do. And again, the assumption is it's never too late, and I make that assumption because that's what Yahweh said. Still, one of the most common things you hear from people who are trying to do the things that Yahweh created them to do is they don't have enough money. Well, that's simply not true. I know I've heard people say this, and you've heard people say this as well. This person or that person has more money than God. Well, truth is, if you have a single penny, you have more money than God, because he has no money at all. He has everything the world has to offer, and he can give it to us at his discretion. Our job is to put ourselves in the position to do the things Yahweh created us to do, then trust that he'll do his job and provide the things we need, which is what he will do. And the first step is learning how to use the resources we have. The Messiah gave a parable, or made this comment, and I think it's terribly revealing. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Too many times we see people saving and investing for the wrong reasons. This book talks a lot about saving and investing, but for the right reasons. Your goal should never be just to get rich. If that's your goal, it's certainly not God's will. Your goal should be to put yourself in a position to do the things Yahweh created you to do. Getting rich is a dangerous phenomenon for most people. I know people long for it. Many people long for it as if it's their primary objective, and yet the Bible teaches very clearly that that's not just wrong, it's dangerous. If you look at Luke 12:16 through 21, you'll find the parable of the rich fool. You'll recall that the man had a huge crop coming in. He tore down his old barn, built new barns, bigger barns, and he thought, I'm going to fill these barns up and I'll be rich for the rest of my life. I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry. Well, he tore down the old barn, he built his new barns, he filled them up to the limit, and as quickly as the barns were full, he died. And the lesson in the parable is, so is a man who stores up for himself treasures on earth, but is not rich toward God. King Solomon said this in Proverbs 11:4. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. Money has a place in the life of a believer, but you need to know what it is. And money is not, for us at least, it's not for the purpose of simply getting rich. We don't just accumulate money for no reason. We accumulate assets for a reason, and that reason is to do the will of Yahweh. The Messiah said in Mark 8:36 and 37, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? For what will a man give in exchange for his soul? Well, truth is, if you're smart, you wouldn't give anything in exchange for your soul. And what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? Nothing. If you forfeit your soul, you're doomed for eternity. That's not where you want to be. In Proverbs 11:28, King Solomon said, he who trusts in riches will fall, but the righteous will flourish like the green leaf. The righteous are the people who use the resources Yahweh gave them to do the things he created them to do. And that's the type of person you need to be and the type of person that I need to be. I'm not going to go into this fairly lengthy passage in Luke. It's Luke 12:22 through 34. I hope you'll take a chance to read it. What he says basically there is that don't worry about where you're going to live, what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear. It's interesting because in those few verses, he touched on the creature comforts of life. Eating, what you're going to wear, what you're going to eat, what you're going to, where you're going to live, things like that. And we've taken those things and we've turned them into gods. I'll use housing as a specific example. How many people do you know personally who got caught up in the housing binge, took on mountains of debt to buy more house than they needed, and today they're many of them facing bankruptcy, financial destitution, because they focus their energy and their attention, their resources on things that Yahweh never intended. Too much house. We spend too much on houses, we spend too much on food, we spend too much on clothing. Excessive devotion to any of these things can be very deadly. While I was in Sukkot, I met a young woman whose husband is in Afghanistan fighting. She needed a car, and she decided to buy one that cost her $35,000. Now, admittedly, she needed a car, but she didn't need a $35,000 vehicle. In fact, I'm going to be very kind and say that she could have bought a car that met her needs, that would have met her needs for less than $5,000. So let's just assume that she spent $30,000 more than she needed to purchase a car. Now, I want to explain something to you, because one of the goals in the book is What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life, is to teach you how to think about things from Yahweh's perspective, to put yourself in a position to do the things Yahweh created you to do. If you take $30,000, which is the amount of money that she spent that she didn't need to spend, and assume that invested reasonably, that amount of money would double in about 7 years, and that's a conservative estimate. What that means is that the $30,000 she spent today, had she not spent that money, had she saved it and invested it, would have been worth $60,000 in 7 years. In 14 years, it would have been worth $120,000. And in 21 years, it would have been worth $240,000. Here's the lesson. A decision today to buy more car than she needed by purchasing a car that cost $30,000 more than she needed to spend today, she deprived herself of $250,000 21 years from now. That's one purchase, one item. If you look at all of the things we buy that we don't need in the area of food, clothing, and shelter, you'll find that any reasonable person who earns an income, any income, can get rich and retire early and devote his or her full time to the things Yahweh created them to do in 21 years, if they'll just learn to think through the things they buy on a daily basis. And in the book, What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life, I talk about this in detail so that you can get it. You can follow the lessons in this book and actually do it. And that's what the purpose is about. Again, the book can be purchased at Amazon. It's an ebook. You go to the Amazon Kindle store, and there you go to What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life. If you don't have a Kindle device or an iPad or another type of e-reader, you can download Kindle for My PC right from Amazon, put it in your computer. That program costs you nothing. And then you can download What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life into your computer and read it. I urge you to read the book. It was written for you to help you learn to do the things that Yahweh created you to do. In that sense, I guess you could say it's a gift from Yahweh to you through me. So, thank you for joining me for another Snyder Talk video commentary. And this is the first in several parts that I'm going to do on What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life. I hope you buy the book. Thank you.